Brian Lehrer on WNYC. So we've talked a lot about the New York City mayoral race, and we've talked a lot about the New Jersey gubernatorial race. Well, how about the mayoral race in New Jersey for mayor of Jersey City, second biggest city in the state next to Newark? And the current mayor, Steve Fulop, is stepping down after 3 terms. Mayor Fulop failed to get the Democratic nomination for governor, you may remember, back in June, and he's moving on to a new job. He's going to be CEO of the Partnership for New York City, which is kind of a big business lobby group. You may know the name Kathy Wild as the person who's done that for a long time. Steve Fulop, interestingly, though he ran as a progressive in the gubernatorial primary, he's now going to be taking over as the head of sort of the business lobby in New York City. But that means Jersey City is going to get a new mayor for the first time in 12 years. This is a very crowded, nonpartisan race. That's the way Jersey City does it. And if none of the 7 candidates gets more than 50% of the vote, there'll be a runoff for the top 2 vote getters on December 2nd. Now, one of the front runners in the race is a name you know, even if you're not a Jerseyite, and that is former Governor Jim McGreevey, who some of you will remember resigned back in 2004 over an affair with the man he appointed as a Homeland Security advisor and who threatened to sue him for sexual harassment. That scandal has been a punching bag for his opponents, as you might imagine. So to talk about all the candidates and the big issues in this race is John Heinous, publisher, owner, and reporter for the Hudson County View. John, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to WNYC.
Ryan, thanks so much for the invitation. Pleasure and a privilege, a long-time listener, so very happy to join you this morning.
Thanks very much. And listeners, Jersey City residents, electioneering, welcome here. Who are you for as early voting continues, or with any question on this crowded Jersey City mayoral race? 212-433-WNYC, call or text 212-433-9692, or what issue is moving you in this race, or again, any question, 212-433-9692. You want to run through the other 6 names briefly so people don't get the misimpression that this is an up or down vote on Jim McGreevey?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So, basically a lot of people believe that this is a 3-horse race. The other 2 outside of Jim McGreevey are Hudson County Commissioner Bill O'Day. He's a 40-plus year public servant. He's been the Ward B city councilman in Jersey City, and for the past 25 years or so, he's been the county commissioner. They were formerly freeholders. And, he's been a real advocate on the West Side. That's been the district that he represents, and he has a pretty good track record with his constituent services. And he's also had a good track record of not necessarily going with the flow on everything. Like, he's voted no on a number of budgets. He hasn't taken any salary increases. So some call him, a grandfather of reform, which is kind of interesting because another guy in the race is Ward E Councilman James Solomon. This is a guy that obviously has been very progressive. He's been very far left leaning, and, his support comes from downtown. And of course, a lot of voters down there, are true blue type of Democrats. And before James even ran for the city council in 8 years ago, he actually was doing a bunch of rallies that were anti-Trump and, other causes that would reflect those kind of values. So he's anti-machine, again, a very true blue Democrat. And then you have Musab Ali. He was the former Board of Education president. He's also running to the left. And his big attack point lately is that he doesn't take any donations from from contractors, city contractors. And he's thrown that in Solomon's face a few times. And he's also talked about, I want to be the guy that does the most development, but does it smartly. So that's kind of been his appeal. And of course, he's the youngest candidate in the race. He's at least, I'd say about roughly 15 years younger than anyone else running. So interesting there. And then you have Council President Joyce Waterman. She was elected to council at large 3 times under Mayor Fulop's ticket. And other than that, she's had a tough time fundraising, and she didn't run a full slate of candidates for council. So, she doesn't really have a great campaign going as far as I can tell. So, she's definitely a long shot candidate. And then you have this guy, Kalki Jane Rose. He didn't do any debates. He didn't do any forums. He's not present on social media, but he's on the ballot. And, we're just going to have to see what that means. Probably a few hundred votes, if that. And so, yeah, that's basically where we're at. And that's kind of the dynamic. Oh, and we also have police
Hmm.
officer Christina Freeman. And she's basically running as someone who thinks that public safety in the city can be better. And also as someone who thinks the South Side has been underrepresented. And she's also taken a bit of a controversial stance that we should halt development completely for a little while until we get our house in order. So I think that would cover the field of candidates.
All right. So you're saying that there are those three leaders who I've read are tied in the polls at around 20%. McGreevey, Bill O'Day, and James Solomon. Looks like we have O'Day and Solomon voters calling in. So let's take a couple of phone calls from listeners. 212-433 WNYC. With anyone you're supporting or any questions you have, or what issue you think is the most important in the Jersey City mayor's race. 212-433 WNYC 433 9692. And Deborah in Jersey City, you're on WNYC. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, good morning, and good morning to John. I actually subscribe to his newspaper.
Thank you.
I ended up going. I ended up going for O'Day, but it took me. I didn't make a decision until about a week before early voting because my heart wanted to go with someone else. I think all the candidates are pretty good except McGreevy, but Jersey City is messed up. Period. Everything, all issues. And I want somebody that can step in day one and get the ball rolling. And O'Day, I didn't know a lot about him a year ago, but I started doing research, started hearing about him. He's a lifelong Jersey City resident. I've been here 35 years. He has done a lot and has a good reputation. He's just been quiet. He didn't brag about what he's done. And there are all the different people I've talked to in the forums. And it just came to the point where I think he has the best shot of getting Jersey City back to where it needs to be or get it on the road to the right path. Because unfortunately, I voted for Steve Fulop when he first was elected, and I actually volunteered in his campaign. And that's a regret I have because the person now is like a totally different person than then. And I want somebody that's going to care about the people that are electing them, to care about all residents, whether they voted for him or not, but that can get in there day one and start the ball rolling to get Jersey City back on the track it needs to be. So that's why I ended up going for O'Day.
Deborah, for you, what's the turn that Mayor Fulop took that you disapprove of?
I think he stopped caring about the constituents. When he was a council person, I had a couple of interactions with him, which were great, and he was very positive. And, I decided, hey, and I haven't volunteered on too many campaigns. I think I volunteered on like 3 in my 35 years here. But it seems like he got jaded or he just stopped caring
On
or caring
what
for the
issue?
residents.
Top issue or
On
two?
all the issues. There's no enforcement here. Our taxes has gone up. He just doesn't care.
All right. Deborah, thank you for your call. We are New York and New Jersey Public Radio on the Jersey side now, on the Jersey City side now in particular, as we talk about the Jersey City mayoral race with John Hines, publisher, owner, and reporter for the Hudson County View. We just heard from a supporter of one candidate, Bill O'Day. Let's go to Rebecca in Jersey City, who's calling in to support another. Hi, Rebecca. You're on WNYC.
Hey, Brian, and hey, John. How's it going? It's Rebecca Missel. I'm a longtime activist in Jersey City, and I am supporting James Solomon for mayor. I echo a lot of what Deborah's points have been about just things in Jersey City do not work. I, too, supported Steve Fulop at the beginning, had tremendous hopes for his mayorality, and have watched as taxes have skyrocketed and as the community has suffered, particularly outside of downtown. To pinpoint why that's happened, it's because Steve Phillip was bought off by developers in Jersey City who don't pay their fair share of taxes. And the only mayoral candidate who is not bought off by developers and who is prioritizing affordability of our city is James Solomon. And so I feel that he is a candidate who is going to be responsive to the people, because the people are who are putting him hopefully in office, and not the Kushners and not these other, massive developers. Look, Jim McGreevy's getting money from Republicans down in Ocean County, right? So I think having an independent candidate who is not bought off by the machine or by these corporate interests is what the city needs, because to Deborah's point, 911 services don't work in Jersey City, right? You call 911, people wait 15 minutes to get a response, not just like 15 minutes for the fire department or the police to show up, but I mean like literally dispatch. So, and this is a city where people are paying $20,000, $30,000 a year in property taxes. Things should work. Schools should work. Our schools are a mess. The buildings are falling apart, lead pipes, vermin in the classrooms, issues like that. And, we saw yesterday my apartment flooded during the storm, other massive flooding happening because the sewage systems haven't kept up with the rate of development. It's why we need a mayor who isn't beholden to these developers, who can actually stand up to them and say, if you want to build in this city, if you want to profit off of the land of this city, you need to be paying your fair share in taxes, and you need to be providing affordable housing. And the only candidate that I believe can do that is James Solomon.
Rebecca, thank you very much for your call. I'm going to play a clip of each of those three leading candidates in just a second. But, John, I'm curious to get your take on the commonality between the two callers who are supporting different candidates on how messed up the basic infrastructure of Jersey City seems to be. They're talking about 911 response time, about, sewage systems that don't work, real basic stuff. So for you, as the publisher of the Hudson County View, which covers just this kind of thing, are they describing the extent of the problem right? In your journalist's opinion, is it that bad?
Well, look, the point about 911, it can't be disputed. This has been talked about and covered by a number of publications for a number of years, not just one or two. The 911 dispatch, it's correct. What the caller said was true. A lot of times you call 911 and it takes 10, 15 minutes just to get connected. And I know the steps have been taken to try to fix that, but the bottom line is it's still not fixed. It still doesn't work 100% of the time, and obviously something as important as 911 should work at least 99.99999% of the time. So, what she said was true. On top of that, you'll notice that every mayoral candidate has talked about a lot of quality of life issues, whether that's clean streets, whether that's the garbage vendor, that's something that's also been a point of contention. There's only been one person that's bid on the garbage collection contract for a number of years as well. And then, DPW operations and how the City Hall annex is going to be used, and how they're going to run the Department of Public Safety. A lot of, again, quality of life issues have been very important in this campaign, and a lot of people have went out of their way to distance themselves from the incumbent mayor, as other callers have said. And just particularly with Solomon, he's flat out called this administration corrupt, and he said there's a corruption tax in Jersey City, and he said it's costing taxpayers every day, and he calls that corruption tax patronage at City Hall, and basically fat on the land that needs to be trimmed, and he's vowed to do that in office. You've also heard that from McGreevy to a lesser extent, but all the candidates you've heard talk against a lot of projects of this administration, like the Center Pompidou, that big French museum in Journal Square that's gotten a lot of coverage over the past 3-4 years. There was another iteration that's been in the works for about a year, ever since the New Jersey Economic Development Authority pulled their funding out of that project. And everyone has come out and said, under my administration, that's not happening. It's a waste of taxpayer money. So there's definitely a healthy number of voters, in my estimation, that are going to be going to the polls and saying, which person can bring me change? Which person can make Jersey City as great as it could possibly be? That's definitely a sentiment that I'm hearing from voters.
Now, before we run out of time, often we play clips of candidates in these kinds of political race segments at the beginning of segments. In this case, I wanted to get you on the table to some degree, and then we got some interesting callers supporting the two of the candidates, because a lot of listeners are not from Jersey City, and I think probably appreciated, the general background here. But affordability in Jersey City, as in so many places, has broken out as, if not the number one issue, certainly a number one issue. And we're going to play a little bit on that from each of the three leading candidates. So here's Jim McGreevey talking to Marcia Kramer on Channel 2 about his housing plan.
I think, Marcia, we have to understand that the cost of rents and property taxes have gone up exponentially in Jersey City, not only because we have individuals coming from across the river from New York City into Jersey City. So we have to do a couple things. One, we have to designate a percentage of market rate. When we're looking at market rate housing, we have to have affordable housing, workforce housing, where there's 20%, if not higher, when we're building market rate and affordable housing. Two, we have to work with our houses of worship, whether our mosques, whether temples, whether our churches, to upzone. And that is, if they're building senior citizen housing, if they're building workforce housing, allow them to go higher for their parishioners, for their members of their congregation. Three, we've got to look at distressed properties throughout the city and reclaim them utilizing money from our affordable trust fund. So part of this is, as mayor, we have to be persistent and deliberate in the approach to affordable housing. And I committed in the first 4 years 1,000 units of senior citizen housing, 1,000 units of affordable housing, particularly for seniors.
So Jim McGreevey with Marcia Kramer on Channel 2. Marcia also interviewed Jersey City Council member James Solomon, also considered one of the top three candidates. Here's his take on how to create affordable housing, at least 30 seconds worth.
You pass what's called an inclusionary zoning ordinance that says every large-scale development has 20% affordable homes in it, and then you set the rents.
Still, how much are they charged?
So and 100%. So we have a plan to make sure some of those rents are $1,000 a month, some of those rents are $1,500 a month.
But how can you guarantee that the developers will do that?
Because they can't build if they don't. You force them to sign agreements, and you can get tough on these guys who have built luxury-only projects year after year after year in Jersey City.
What else do you have to do to make Jersey City affordable?
Yeah, you got to protect tenants and keep them in their homes. So we have corporate landlords that too often are jacking up rents 10, 15, even 20%.
And here's another 30-second clip of the third candidate who's considered in the top three. It's Bill O'Day on his housing plan on Pix 11.
I have a plan that would create 2,800 units of affordable housing in Jersey City using state tax credits, low-income housing tax credits, local incentives, state affordable housing trust fund, everything from developing a 12-unit, three-story building, getting 20% of these high rises that are going up all over Jersey City to be 20% minimum, 30 to 60% area median income. I understand it. I know it. None of the other candidates come close when it comes to that issue.
So, John, as we run out of time, I just want you to give me another word on one of the other candidates who is not polling in the top tier, but, polls often get things wrong. And it's the former Jersey City Board of Ed president, Musab Ali. He has garnered millions of views on social media, and his campaign has been comparing him to Zohran Mamdani, as he's a Muslim progressive running against a former governor of a state who had to resign from office. Is it possible that Musab Ali is tapping something, the same kind of thirst for certain kinds of change, and in certain demographics, including younger demographics, that Mamdani has been tapping in New York?
Yes, so just real quick on the clips that you just played, and I'll answer your question, but I just wanted to point out that O'Day has been very adamant that he's the only person that's actually built affordable housing. And he just had a commercial come out where he called James Solomon gentrifying James. He said no housing has come during his tenure on the council. And that's just, it is hallmark of this campaign. I'm going to be the guy that makes Jersey City affordable. And I'm the only one that's actually has a track record of doing it. So I wanted to say that. To your question about Musab, look, his social media is great. I think he's only 27 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And he's a guy who clearly knows how to use TikTok. He clearly knows how to use Instagram. And he's gotten in a lot of publications that the average mayoral candidate would, like Teen Vogue, for example. He was just in this past week. So is there a chance he pulls some surprises and, maybe gets more votes than people expect? There's definitely a chance. But him getting in that top two is just going to be really, really tough. Jim McGreevey's raised around 5 million. I mean, O'Day and Solomon have both raised over 2 million, and they've all been in the political and governmental sphere for decades. And that just seems like a real tough hurdle to overcome in my eyes.
And there, folks, is a little primer on the Jersey City mayoral race with John Highness, publisher, owner, and reporter for the Hudson County View. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see how it turns out on Tuesday and if there's going to be a need for a runoff.
There will be a runoff. Thanks for the time, Brian. Really appreciate it.